I spent 0 minutes playing Skyrim today for like the first time in months.
I managed to fit some Destiny in between Destiny and playing more Destiny. Welcome back to Cartridge Based Radio. I am Donald, once again joined by Brad.
Hello!
Brad, how are you at farming?
I mean, I do live kind of out in the boonies these days, but I haven't really tried my hand at it too much.
So you're probably not that great at ranching either.
I mean, you know, they're different things, but I also have not tried ranching, no. I like ranch dressing.
That's just not good for you at all. How are you at monster ranching?
I suck at monster ranching, but I have done it.
Me too.
I am like the Cleveland Browns of monster ranching. I think I went 1-8 in my tournaments.
I don't even know what that means, but I agree with you. Obviously, we're still in the fall of 97 extravaganza that people just love. And we are talking about the 1997 release of PlayStation Pokemon Monster Rancher.
Yes, not officially Pokemon.
No. They saw Pokemon and they're like, yo, we gotta get in on this. Why don't you tell us about Monster Rancher?
Monster Rancher is a PlayStation game. It was published by Tecmo. I don't know the developer off the top of my head, and I forgot to look it up. It was released in the fall of 97, you know, keeping with the theme of the last bunch of shows. And it is kind of it's a Pokemon type game, you know, for not having a proper name for this type of genre, but you get some monsters and you train them and then you make them fight. So it's kind of like a Michael Vick simulator. And one of the neat technologies about it is that you could... It has this neat... I was really trying to not break.
Oh, man. Oh. Wow. Okay.
One of the really cool, unique things about Monster Rancher that, you know, wasn't even just, like, unique for its time, but, like, I can't think of any other game that does anything like this, is you can load the game up, and then at a certain point in the game, it'll tell you to take a music CD and put it in your PlayStation, and it'll scan the CD, and based on some variables, I think, like the overall length of the CD and the number of tracks and maybe a couple other things, it'll generate a monster based on, like, data that it just pulls off of the audio CD. So, like, the very first time I tried this game, I put in a Best of Tom Jones CD, and it gave me, like, some kind of gorilla monster. But, like, there's, like, 200 different types of monster. A lot of them are palette swaps of each other, but there's all these different monsters you can get, and based on what your CD collection looks like, you can get all kinds of different cool stuff to play with. Kind of irrelevant technology now because you probably don't have a PS1 to put your audio CDs into, and you probably don't have audio CDs, honestly.
This game made me think a lot about game preservation and the state of it, because you can't just do that anymore without the hardware and a physical CD. There's so many roadblocks to play Monster Rancher like you should. I guess if you have the game on disc and you have an old PS3 or a PS2, you could pull it off.
But even then, I'm not sure you can, like, I don't know that a PS2 is going to be compatible with, like, probably you could put an audio CD in it, but maybe not. I mean, physically it'll happen, but I don't know if it'll actually, like, read it properly.
PlayStation 2 would play music CDs, so it should work fine. Now, more importantly in Monster Rancher, I did not know this was a spreadsheet simulator. I wanted to ranch cool monsters, but the first thing you're introduced to is like, here's 9 boxes you need to open up other boxes, to select other things in other boxes. Aren't you having fun?
I often will complain about JRPGs that I don't care for the gameplay because it's just a lot of picking things off of menus. I call it Japanese menu torture, and it's just not for me. And like Monster Rancher is that to like the 100th degree. Like it's not just like battles are all menu driven. It's like the entire game is all just, going through menus and picking options. And what do you want to feed your monster? What do you want your monster to do this week?
So I decided, I'm going to hit the listen to a CD thing, knowing that the way we play these games, we're not actually going to have a CD to listen to. And it gave me a rock monster, and I named him Bob.
Neat.
Bob was dumb as a bag of hammers, and he kept failing at mining. He's a rock monster who can't punch rocks. And my helper's like, he's not very good at that. Would you like to punish him? It's like, crazy little girl, no. He's just a monster. He didn't do anything wrong.
The very first thing that happens in this game is like you, take your life savings or whatever and decide that from now on you're going to be a monster rancher. So you like apply to the Department of Monster Licensing or whatever, and they hook you up with a trainer, and they're just like, we'll give you this trainer. And it's like she's my property? Like you just like gave me a person? And you get like this like 14-year-old girl, and it's like, I'm already not entirely comfortable with this transaction, and it seems like maybe it's kind of wrong. And then she's like, oh, I just graduated from monster school, but don't worry, I'm very knowledgeable about breeding. And I'm like, I'm really uncomfortable with this conversation right now. 14-year-old girl that I apparently own.
There's layers of oddness to this game, I guess is the word I want. First, I have to go back because this game starts with a cinematic that I haven't been so confused by since Yonoi. There's a man who's digging, and it's supposed to be like old black and white real footage.
Yeah, it kind of looks like the archaeological, like when they were digging up Egypt in the 20s or whatever, that you sometimes see at like the beginning of Mummy movies.
Yeah, so it's at varying speeds. The 3D character models in these videos are some of the worst I have seen in a 97 cinematic. They make Felony 1179 look like Oscar award winning. But this dude finds a disc, and he takes it into this temple, and he gives it to the priest, and the priest seems really annoyed he's going to have to summon a monster.
Well, first we should talk about these discs. Like, they know what they're looking for. They're called stone discs, and they contain monsters in them. Like, if someone told me, hey, here's a rock that has a monster in it that we found from this collapsed civilization, the first thing I'm going to think is, are the monsters why, like, that civilization doesn't exist anymore? Because maybe we should leave them on the disc. But yeah, this guy just goes, like, running to the temple. He's begging, too. He's like, please, 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 can I have a monster? And the priest is like, yeah, fine, here you go.
And then he gets a small Tyrannosaurus Rex. And going to your question, yeah, maybe that is why society collapsed back then. Because they're just like, here you go, have a small Tyrannosaurus Rex. And he runs outside and he's like, I know what I'm going to do. Put it into an arena to try to kill another monster.
Here's where it gets really alarming. When he gets this monster, he shouts out, I'm a father. Like, not, I have a pet, not like, oh, cool monster. He's like, I'm a father. Like, I don't have children. I have some pets, and, sometimes just for the sake of simplicity, we'll refer to, mommy, daddy, or whatever, like cat mommy, as like me and my wife's roles to these animals. But like, I don't go, I'm a father, like when I got the cat at the SPCA. Like, I didn't jump up and down, I'm a father. I'm like, cool, I have a cat.
This just got a whole lot darker because I missed that. He immediately takes his newborn baby and puts it into an arena.
Immediately.
Yeah, he's just like, oh man, I'm going to make some dope-ass coin off this monster fight.
Off my child. And that monster kills the thing it's up against. Like, it breathes fire on it, and it collapses into pieces. And somewhere in the crowd is the quote-unquote father of that rock monster, and he must be devastated because he just watched his child get lit on fire and fall into tiny pieces. That's horrifying.
Monster Rancher's not right.
Monster Rancher gets dark. Like, this might be the most messed up game we've played.
Now that we've brought the show down a few notches, so let's talk about monster abuse. So you can send your monster off to do various training things.
Yes.
One of them is you can send him out to the forest to cut down trees. You can send him off to like specialty month-long training camps. But if he fails, the little girl they gave you to keep is like, do you want to punish your monster? And you get a yes-no prompt. I'm like, he's a monster that was just born out of a Nirvana album a minute ago. I don't want to hit him. What is wrong with you, little girl?
Your 14-year-old dominatrix monster trainer wants to punish him.
She's like, this is how I feel. I always picked no, and he always seems super happy about it.
Yeah, the trainer really encourages you to punish the monster that you're raising. But then, if you listen to her and you're like, okay, I guess, the monster screwed up the thing he was supposed to do. We'll punish him because I don't want to go too easy on him and then he gets lazy or whatever. Then, like, the next screen, she's like, you're too hard on him. And it's like, lady, come on. It's got to be one or the other.
She might be super, super bipolar.
Or maybe, like, they don't show the punishment. Maybe, like, the punishment is, like, really extreme. She's like, maybe, like, feed him vegetables. And you're like, maybe I'll hit him with a rock for an hour. And then she's like, what the hell? You just don't see that part.
Your character shows up with monster fingernail necklace. Like, what did you do?
You said to punish him. I meant no dessert.
You're sick in the head, man. So you eventually there's a calendar because what every game needs is for you to follow a calendar. And it says there's a tournament. So I was like, yeah, I'll enter a tournament because I'm straight up broke at this point because my monster was like, I need fish 24/7, son.
It's like The Rock.
Well, one of the options is potato, and it's like, monsters don't like potatoes, and they won't like you as much if you feed them to them. It's like, why is that even an option? I guess if you get into a certain dire straits with your money, you're like, it's potatoes this week, monster.
Because that's a good idea, is to have a monster not like you.
Yeah, the thing that is 5 to 6 feet taller than you and can breathe fire or crush your skull.
That you're specifically training to fight.
You're training a kill creature. Don't make it mad. That's the good lesson. But you get into the tournament, and it's suddenly like, you've been looking at 2D pixel art, little animations, and this static splash screen of your farm. But now we get into the 3D fights. Basically a Poke battle.
This looks like low budget Pokemon. Was it Pokemon Stadium that was on the N64?
It was Pokemon Stadium.
Yeah, this looks like they tried to make that game with a budget of $6.
I don't know who thought the fighting in this game, this was the way we would want to do it, but it's basically just a distance thing, and if you don't have 4 moves in your catalog, you have to wait till they get right up on you to use your moves, and then I never figured out how it decided who went first in the fighting. I was just jamming on buttons like, please do something, and then the first tournament I got into, they just stood there missing each other over and over, and I was like, game, I'm really wanting to move on from this because this is super boring. And I won the first fight after like 10 minutes. I'm like, oh, finally. And then another fight came up.
Yeah, there's 3 matches per tournament.
And it took me forever, and I didn't enjoy any of it.
Yeah, the gameplay in this is not great. It's not explained well. It's not fun to do. I ended up, for all the battles, after I lost the first couple, you can have the monster just do whatever he wants and you don't put in any instructions for him. And I started just doing that. If I was going to lose either way, at least this was easier. That didn't really make it any more fun, but it made it a little less aggravating. Every tournament that I got into, there was this giant ice monster named Sem, like SEM. And this was, it's the beginning of the game. They have different tiers. So I'm like in the E level tournament for beginners. And this guy, it's like when you see like Little League and it's like an 8 to 10-year-old Little League team. And like there's the one kid where like the cutoff was like you had to be like born before like August 31st, and like this kid's birthday was like September 1st, so he's actually like pretty much 11 years old playing against like 9 and 8-year-olds, and he just like destroys all of them. Like this was the monster that was already like a year older than everybody else. And he just won every tournament. Every time I entered a tournament, it's like, oh, Sem's here, so I guess I'm finishing second at best.
I don't really know the thought arc that brought this game into existence. I'm gonna go ahead and guess it was like Pokemon is doing really well, and we gotta do something to get up against that Pokemon and get those Pokemon dollars. I know why we have it on this list. It's because these are like interesting, cool games that did something interesting in 97, and dropping a CD in and having it read the metadata on the disc and getting you a monster, that is really cool. But this game is not fun.
No. There's a lot wrong with this game. When you're back at your ranch, you have the options. If there isn't a tournament that week, you can either give your monster a job, which will earn some money and also make him a little bit stronger, or you can have him rest, which, keeps him fresh for the next tournament, or just to not be overworked and keeps him healthy. Every single one of these tasks is accompanied by like a little cutscene. It's always the same cutscene for each. So, like each job has its own cutscene, and then resting has its own cutscene. And it's like every time you do something, like it'll take you 2 seconds to make the decision and pick it off the menu, and then you got to sit there through like a 15-second cutscene of it like sleeping. Like that's you pick rest, and you just get to like watch your like little T-Rex like taking a nap, and then like a butterfly lands on it, and it's like, okay, that's cute like the first time, but like you rest like every other week. So after like the 30th time, I'm just like, come on. Like, this game takes way too long to not get anything done.
And I'm going to be honest, like, after 2 hours of this, I was so done with this game. So I don't know if there's an actual story arc, or if it's just raise monster, fight monster, wash, rinse, repeat.
Let's see. I finally found a tournament that Ringer wasn't in, and I managed to win it and get bumped up to the next level, and it was like, you get a letter. And they're like, hooray, now you're an E-level trainer instead of an F-level trainer or whatever. That was pretty underwhelming. Your monsters only live for like 2 or 3 years, so you can freeze them or something and then like get a new monster, and like you breed them, I guess, and like its traits are based off of the monster that you just retired or died on you or whatever. So that's kind of the progression in the game, I guess.
So you summon them out of a disc or a CD. They live 2 years after you force them to fight in battle arenas, and then they just die of natural causes?
Yeah, natural causes.
His natural causes was a horrible brain damage from being punched in the face too much. Yeah, like I said, it's a spreadsheet. You just keep doing spreadsheet things over and over, and then it's kind of just a crappy arena fighter where you just jam on the X button until something happens. I can't even be like, man, the music was great, because I can't even remember what the music was like.
I have no idea.
I don't know if this happened to you. When your monster's on the screen and you're wondering what to do with it, it just like wanders off camera.
Yeah.
And starts walking around, and you really realize that you're looking at a 2D drawing and not a 3D space, because the monster starts like walking over the barn. I mean, the presentation isn't even great, and this series, their latest release was 2011, so it's still going. It's got an anime.
That's the mark of success right there. It's like, does your game have an anime?
We need an anime.
Is there a Streets of Rage anime? Because I would watch the hell out of a Streets of Rage anime.
I know there's a a Fatal Fury and a Street Fighter 2.
Anyway, Monster Rancher.
I don't know. It's got the cool CD thing, but the overwhelming darkness in this game is disturbing.
Let's really delve into that, because I don't think monster fighting in this world, I don't think you're supposed to make your monsters fight. Like, it's the thing. There's an arena. It might be underground. It might be like in the back of like some foreign supermarket somewhere that they don't talk about, and you got to know a secret password to go see. But the monster fighting exists. But I think like you're just supposed to, like, not necessarily in the game, but like in the universe, I think you're just supposed to raise these monsters and like send them out to do odd jobs and make the money that way. But the temptation's always there, because you can make so much more money making them fight. And it's kind of like this illicit activity that, you know, all of a sudden, like, you start running out of money on the ranch. Like, he needs too much food, and last time you sent him off to go cut logs, like, he screwed up and you didn't get paid, and you could enter him in that tournament and make some quick money. It's dark, you know. I think you're sending your beloved critters off to do this dangerous thing that you normally wouldn't have to, but, you know, you start running out of money and you do desperate things.
I just realized how lazy of a rancher you also are, because you don't do anything other than command this poor beast to go out and do your bidding and bring you back money. Can you just skip the tournaments?
If I had it in me to do a second playthrough, I'd actually thought about, like, what if I just, like, play this game as, like, a hardcore business simulation? I don't do any fighting. I just see if I can make money, like, renting my monster out to, like, cut wood or drag pull carts around. You know, can it work? But the excitement and lure of quick money just, you know, brought me into the illicit world of monster fighting. Working on a monster ranch is drudgery. You know, you get bored and you send your beloved children out to fight.
It's interesting. I mean, I'm glad that the series is still going. I'm hoping it got better. Maybe a little more interactivity in it than watching little animations of your monster chop wood and then sleep on a picnic blanket. But you as a rancher probably drank a lot, because life is so horrible for a monster rancher. And they don't really delve into, like, any personality of the ranch or anything. You don't get to manage the ranch.
No, you don't even, like, you don't get to put up a building or something. Like, that would be fun. Like, you add things to your ranch and maybe it makes the monsters better. You know, you get to pick what color your barn is or something. But it's just like, do you want to feed them fish, or do you want to, like, feed them, like, dirty potatoes?
And I don't know why the monster doesn't like potatoes. Potatoes are delicious, stupid monsters. They don't even delve into your, like, assistant.
My assistant was no help at all. I thought I remembered the first time I played this game, like, it had kind of what I call the caddy problem, because, like, if you play a golf game, the game it'll recommend what club to use, and, like, it'll automatically, like, line you up in a straight line and, like, makes all the decisions for you. And that's kind of what Monster Rancher, I remembered it being like, is that the assistant would, like, tell you everything you need to do, and it was never a good idea to go against her advice. That's how I remembered it. The reality is, she's no help at all. I did so many things that I should not have done that she should have popped up and been like, hey, this might not be a great idea. Like, the very first thing I did is I sent my monster off for training, like, in the very first week. And it turns out that you're not supposed to do that till later in the game. Like, the training academy will have a sale in, like, October. And so I sent away for this expensive training, and my monster just, like, was like, screw this, and, like, wandered off and was lost for a month. Like, every week it would just pop up, your monster's missing. We don't know what happened, but thanks for giving us all that money for training. Like, this fly-by-night monster training academy just didn't keep track of my monster at all and let it wander away. And I was lucky I ever got it back.
Big Lou's Monster Academy. You got some monster you want trained? Come to Big Lou's.
We'll lose it for you. And then, like, much later that year, you know, all of a sudden my trainer's like, this would be a good time to send him away to a training academy. It's like, where were you in January when I shouldn't have done it and you didn't stop me? I guess I shouldn't have entered it in tournaments for a while either. Like, every time a tournament came up, I'm like, go fight in the tournament. And it would, like, go out and get destroyed, you know, and go 0 for 3 every tournament. You know, the assistant didn't say anything about it other than after the tournament's over, it'll, like, show you, like, how many matches you won. 0. How much money you made from winning those matches. 0. And then your fame level. And every time, like, I'd go 0 for 3, and my trainer would be like, I wonder what this did to his fame level. And it's like, you sarcastic little mean trainer. Nobody likes a sarcastic.
It's probably why people don't like me. Whatever. So I tried to find the fun in Monster Rancher, and I don't know. It's a cool idea, but I like spreadsheets because spreadsheets are full of numbers, and sometimes the numbers go up, and I love that. But this is like the worst spreadsheet simulator I have ever played. At no point was like, man, I'm actually progressing to the point where this is kind of getting fun and I'm going to do good in the tournament. I'm going to send him away for training and he's not going to fail because every time I send him away, he's like, I don't know how to punch rocks in the mine. I don't know how to pull a cart. How do you not know how to pull a cart? You walk in a straight line and the cart follows you. That's all you do.
The items keep falling off the cart, which doesn't seem like it's the monster's fault. Like, I think there's just some shady stuff going on in this town where, like, some dishonest merchant is like, oh, well, 2 apples fell off the cart that I packed wrong. Now I don't have to pay you.
Yo, Big Lou says I don't gotta pay you. It dropped an apple.
One of the jobs you can give your monster to do is deliver mail, which you'd think would probably be terrifying if you were at home and then, like, a T-Rex, like, walked up to your house and, like, gave you your mail. That would probably be scary. First of all. But secondly, assuming that it's not and everybody's like, hey, it's my friendly mailman T-Rex, those people would probably be really upset to find out that, you know, on weekends you take that same T-Rex and make him fight other monsters for money. You know, they'd be like, hey, that's our mailman. We like him.
The horror of going to one of these monster fights to, like, protest and then watching your mailman be brought out on a stretcher in multiple pieces would be a little bit much to handle. Oh no, Jeffrey! Why?
There are people who have stopped watching professional football because, like, the injury toll is just too much. You know, especially now that we know more about concussions. And those are, like, strangers. You know, those are professional athletes that more often than not you've never actually met in real life. Like, you imagine, like, just, like, someone from your neighborhood is just like, hey, this weekend I'm gonna, like, fight a guy for money, and then, like, he gets, like, horribly maimed, and, like, you're watching that. Like, I think everybody would be turned off of watching Monster Rancher tournaments. Just be like, oh, hey, that's my neighbor's monster, and he helped me, like, do some mining last week because I'm a miner. Oh my god! Poor Carl!
Is there no governing body to come in and be like, hey, are you abusing your monsters? Because the beginning of the game makes it seem like they are rare.
You know, it's kind of weird because, like, they're sort of rare because they're, like, only found on the stone disc, but they're also found on audio CDs, which if I go to, like, Value Village, they have just racks and racks of them, and they're all, like, 30 cents. So, like, monsters are either, like, ridiculously cheap or, like, incredibly rare. I didn't do the audio CD thing because I was playing it through non-original means. And so instead of doing that, I just, like, there's an option to just, like, you have, like, laboratory or shrine or whatever where it's just where you get your audio CD monster. And then the next one's just, like, store. So I went to the store and I just bought a T-Rex from some guy wearing a blue beret for God only knows what reason. He looked like Guile from the Street Fighter movie.
Hey, I'm Big Lou.
Want to buy a monster? I'm like, I'll have a T-Rex, please.
The thing we haven't talked about yet, you can get 2 monsters at once. And then you're like, hey, Monster A and Monster B, do you want to go into the barn and make Monster C? This game will let you do that. You can breed. And your assistant gets so excited.
Yeah, that's a little creepy, because
I'm so excited they're breeding. Like, just chill out. Just sit down and chill out. Stop it. Stop it. But, yeah, you can breed your monsters. And they're like, here's your new monster. It's got attributes of the other 2 monsters you had. I guess that's cool. Shrug.
It's like, oh, so my monster that couldn't win any fights bred with my other monster that can't win any fights, and now I have a monster that really can't win any fights.
Oh, hi, new baby. Go out into the forest and please chop down some trees. Thanks. I guess that one guy was excited he was a father. Might as well send him out in the forest.
It's like you took the Cleveland Browns and combined them with the Buffalo Bills and made that basketball team that always loses to the Harlem Globetrotters.
Usually you're like, oh, the sum of all its parts equal a good game. Here you're like, how do the sum of all these parts interconnect in any way, shape, or form? I really remember liking Monster Rancher. But maybe they don't remember the original, because I'm pretty sure I played 2, and I recommended it to friends, but Brad, what if I played 1, and I recommended it to people? Am I now responsible for calling them and apologizing?
Are they still your friends?
I don't know.
How do you not know if somebody's your friend?
Well, I mean, these are like high school people. They don't really talk to me they didn't really talk to me at the time, so
was this your attempt to like get in with the cool kids? Is you're like, wait till you see Monster Rancher, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna make sure that you like never take part in any social activities for the rest of the time you're in high school.
They're like, did you see me do that sports thing at the sports game? And I'm like, hey guys, Monster Rancher's pretty cool. No, so anyone listening to this that I went to high school with, I'm sorry if I recommended this game to you. It's terrible. But it's still going, so I guess they pulled the nose of that plane up before it smacked into the mountainside. I mean, do you have any more on Monster Rancher?
Not really. You know, we kind of hit on all of my thoughts on this game. You know, it was a neat idea for the time, not just the CD scanning technology. Like, that was the big marquee thing. You know, it's like no other game has or will do this. But it was also like Pokemon hadn't really caught on yet. I don't know if it had actually been released in the US at this point. I know when I looked up the release dates for Pokemon, it says 1996, but that might just be Japan. I remember working at the store, and suddenly, like, everybody wanted Pokemon stuff, and it was, like, 98 by that point. So I don't know. This might have been the first game of its kind, you know, in sort of this weird, like, raise a monster and make it fight genre.
Really thought Pokemon might have come first.
It may have. I don't remember it being popular, at the very least, for quite some time.
I mean, Monster Rancher, if it came second, looked at Pokemon and said, what if we got rid of all this story garbage and just focused on what people really love, the monster raising and fighting, not realizing that the two need to go hand in hand?
What if we did this but worse?
How do we make Pokemon not fun? Ooh, I know. I don't really have much more to say. That's Monster Rancher. I think it gets better. Maybe, I think it was 99. Number 2 came out. So when the show is 3 years old, we'll talk about Monster Rancher 2 in the summer of 99.
Yeah, I might just take that week off. I don't want to play any more Monster Rancher.
It will just be me sitting here weeping openly for 45 minutes.
You know what, though? It's October, and we managed to find a game where we could talk about monsters. So
I guess high five to us.
Yes, staying on theme. Double theme, Halloween and 97.
We are amazing.
Yes.
So that was Monster Rancher. I don't really... Usually there's like a great way to have fun with a game, even if it's being bad. But there's just so much weirdness going on. There's monster torture, human ownership, weird breeding, horrific monster fights that should be illegal. But fun? No. No fun.
No.
Unless you really like menus. Hottest menu simulator of 97.
You could probably look this up on eBay. I would guess it's probably in like the $15 to $20 range. So for $20, you can play Monster Rancher and pick a bunch of stuff off of a menu. Or you could go to a Mexican restaurant and pick a bunch of stuff off the menu. But at least that way, you get tacos.
Tacos should win in that scenario. Listener, please get tacos instead of playing Monster Rancher. Brad, What do we have next week for the fall of 97?
Next week, we've got San Francisco Rush, which was a highly acclaimed game, made the cover of a couple magazines, and it's very exciting. It's also the first time that we'll be talking about an N64 game since we covered GoldenEye. And then the week after that, we're going to wrap things up with Nightmare Creatures.
Ooh, our spooky Halloween episode. Ooh. That was a ghost noise.
Oh.
I guess that's going to do it. If you want to get a hold of us, just click over to the show notes. I have links for everything there, so we don't have to extend this goodbye out forever. I am Donald. That was Brad. And we are Cartridge Based Radio.
Are we not doing phrasing on the show?